What if the laziest investing strategy also happened to be one of the most effective ones? Turns out, doing less is actually the secret that most Wall Street professionals don't want you to know about. Let's talk about index funds, what they are, how they work, and why millions of people are quietly building serious wealth with them without spending a single hour picking stocks. First, let's get the basics down. An index fund is a type of investment fund that tracks a market index. The most common example is the S&P 500, which is just a list of the 500 largest publicly traded companies in the United States. We're talking Apple, Microsoft, Amazon, Google, JP Morgan, all of it, bundled together. When you buy into an S&P 500 index fund, you're essentially buying a tiny slice of all 500 of those companies at once. Now here's the key thing that makes index funds different from other investments. They're passive. Nobody is sitting at a desk actively deciding which stocks to buy or sell inside the fund. The fund just mirrors the index automatically. And that simplicity is exactly what makes them so powerful. Let's compare that to actively managed mutual funds, because this contrast is really important. With an active fund, you have a professional fund manager, someone with an Ivy League degree and a Bloomberg terminal, making decisions every single day about what to buy, what to sell, and when to do it. Sounds impressive, right? Here's the problem. Study after study has shown that over a 15 to 20-year period, roughly 90% of actively managed funds fail to beat the S&P 500 index. 9 out of 10. These are the pros, and they're still losing to a fund that basically runs itself. And then there's the cost. Active funds charge what's called an expense ratio, a yearly fee that eats into your returns. Active funds often charge anywhere from 0.5% to over 1% per year. Index funds, on the other hand, can cost as little as 0.03% per year. That difference sounds tiny, but over decades it compounds into tens of thousands of dollars that either stay in your pocket or get handed over to a fund manager who's probably not even beating the market anyway. So how do you actually make money with index funds? 2 ways: price appreciation and dividends. Price appreciation means the value of the fund goes up as the companies inside it grow. Dividends are small cash payments companies send out to shareholders, usually every quarter. Most index funds automatically reinvest those dividends back into the fund, which accelerates your growth through compounding. Compounding is basically the financial snowball effect. Your returns generate more returns, which generate more returns, and it builds on itself over time. Here's a simple example to make this real. Let's say you invest $300 a month into an S&P 500 index fund, starting at age 25. Historically, the S&P 500 has averaged around 10% annual returns before inflation. At that rate, by the time you're 65, you'd have somewhere around $1.6 million. You contributed about $144,000 out of pocket over those 40 years. The rest, over $1.4 million, came from compound growth. You didn't pick a single stock. You didn't time the market. You just showed up consistently and let the math do the work. Now, a few things you need to understand before you jump in. Index funds are long-term vehicles. They go up, and they also go down. In 2008, the S&P 500 dropped about 38%. In early 2020, when the pandemic hit, it dropped nearly 34% in about a month. If you panic and sell during those dips, you lock in the losses and you miss the recovery. The people who stayed the course in both of those situations came out ahead. Patience isn't just a virtue with index funds, it's a requirement. Also, index funds are not a get-rich-quick scheme. If you're looking to double your money in 6 months, this isn't that. This is a slow, boring, reliable, wealth-building strategy. That's actually the whole point. Boring means predictable. Boring means you can sleep at night. So where do you actually buy index funds? You can open a brokerage account with platforms like Fidelity, Vanguard, or Charles Schwab, all free to sign up. If you want to invest for retirement, consider a Roth IRA or a traditional IRA, which give you tax advantages on top of your returns. If your employer offers a 401k with matching contributions, start there. That match is essentially free money and you should never leave it on the table. Some of the most popular index funds to look into are VOO and IVV, which both track the S&P 500, VTI, which covers the entire U.S. stock market, and VXUS, which gives you international exposure. You don't need all of them. A lot of people build their entire investing strategy around just one or two of these and call it a day. One last thing, consistency beats timing every single time. You don't need to wait for the perfect moment to invest. You don't need to watch the news and guess where the market is going. In fact, trying to time the market is one of the most common and costly mistakes investors make. Set up automatic contributions. Invest the same amount every month regardless of what the market is doing, and let it compound. That strategy is called dollar cost averaging, and it takes the emotion completely out of the equation. Index funds won't make you rich overnight. But if you start today, stay consistent, and don't touch it when things get scary. You have a genuinely realistic shot at building life-changing wealth over time. The people who figured this out early aren't geniuses, they're just patient. If this video helped you understand index funds a little better, do us a favor and hit that like button. It seriously helps more people find this content. And if you want to keep learning about building passive income and growing your money without the noise, subscribe to YieldPath. We put out new videos every week and we're just getting started.